Welcome to the Valley Today, a public service presentation of KAIL-TV. In the late 90s, the city of Reedley had inherited a rail line through the heart of its downtown. They intended to gift the property back to adjacent landowners. But a grassroots movement started that created the Rails to Trails Parkway, a swath of property with trees and shrubs and a walkway that stretches for 2.5 miles. Rails to Trails and the city of Reedley, next on the Valley Today. Well, welcome to the Valley Today. We are here with Dale Melville in my hometown, Reedley, and thanks for being on the show. And we're on the Rails to Trails, and kind of a unique project because it took an old abandoned rail line, which was just rail and foxtails, and that was about it.
A lot of trash thrown in there.
And look what you got now. This is beautiful.
Thank you.
This all came together, what, in beginning of 97?
97 it was initiated. It was a good community effort there. Community effort between the city council, led by city council, and a lot of volunteers and city staff have all put it together. It had a rocky start, but it turned out real well.
Right. And it was interesting. This was a rail line that was abandoned, so the railroad company was just going to turn it back to the city, and then the city was going to sell the parcels to the adjoining landowners.
Right. That was the council's plan back in the fall of 97.
Yeah. And of course that would have given them some money because they would have been able to generate a little revenue from doing that. But instead of doing that, they came up with this. Whose idea was this?
Well, it was one of the, Carol Kane, retailer in town, had heard that the council was getting ready to either dedicate or sell back the property to the adjacent landowners, and she came to my wife, who came to me, and we started a little group that got together and put a preliminary plan together, went and talked to city council, convinced them to hold off that plan and give us a few months to develop our own plan to what we might be able to do with the property.
And so was this done in phases as far as sections?
Yeah, we started off, the first phase was more right in the downtown area from, I think it was about 8th Street to 11th. The section that we're on now is the second phase, although this was the first phase that we actually used volunteer labor to help do a lot of the tree planting and other construction. And that was successful, and so that continued on for the next 3 phases of the project.
So now this goes to Buttonwillow to the east.
Right.
And it goes all the way to the Kings River.
Right.
To the west. But there's more, because didn't you want to get a trail going downstream along the river and then have this kind of a triangular loop?
The original plan was to see if we could loop it. Right now it's a linear 2.5 mile section cutting through the section of town here. Eventually would like to, and it's the city's plans with a bikeway to loop it around the entire city.
Yeah.
It would be nice to bring a trail along the river, and that's all dependent really on some of the development when and if it happens on the river.
Sure.
There was a couple large subdivisions that got stopped when the building slowdown occurred, but there was plans along there to provide access along the riverfront for a parkway, and just hasn't happened yet.
You know, this is impressive. It really is. I mean, I remember this one, and of course I'll show viewers later the other rail line that we still have going through town here to give them an idea of what it looked like before this park came into being. But I mean, this really changes the whole deal with Reedley. It gives it kind of more of a urban setting with with a park.
Yeah, that's worked out real good. There's, if you're around here, especially in the early morning hours, you'll see bikers, dozens of walkers, people out there with their dogs. It's out there with their kids. People picnicking on the benches that we have. It's become a real community asset.
So when did you break ground with this?
Oh, boy. Can't remember that date, but it was probably around 2000, but
So you guys had started putting the deal together in '97, and then about 3 years to finally get it to where you're going to cut some dirt and get some trees coming in and get some shrubs coming in.
Once we got approval from the city to develop our plan, city hired some architects, our landscape architects. We started developing, did some fundraising, and with cooperation with the city staff, started developing grant applications, and we've received almost $3 million in grants over the extended period that we've done the work here, and raised from community almost $70,000 worth of donations. That the grants went into taking care of water lines and drainage and pavement and purchasing a lot of trees and fencing and things like that. The $70,000 that we raised from the community went into what we call extra amenities, benches and bicycle racks and picnic tables and drinking fountains and things like that to add to it.
This project couldn't be done now with the state of the state and federal economy. You probably couldn't pull this off now, but I think probably the timing was right back in the late '90s and early 2000s to be able to get the funding to be able to do this.
Yeah, it was a good time for when the state obviously was in a little bit better position funding-wise, but we've received grants from a lot of different agencies, some of them locally from the Air Pollution Control Board, and getting people out of cars and into bicycles and walking and other forms of transportation. We got money from state parks. We've got Tree Fresno, Forestry Department, PG&E,
Arbor Day Foundation.
Arbor Day, a pretty good list of agencies that all kicked in one way or another.
How has this changed the dynamics for the downtown businesses? Has there been any impact, or?
It probably hasn't gotten to quite the ideal that we were hoping for yet, and part of that's just the business economy in Reedley. But it was hoped more that we'd have. Take the example of the Paloyan building that we're standing right next to now. That was purchased about maybe 6 or 7 years ago, and they had hopes of making it into a brewery and a restaurant, and which would have seating right along the parkway and things. And some of those aspirations just haven't
and that's the one thing that really
yet.
Hasn't happened yet, is where you have the interactivity between the businesses, where the businesses would face towards the trail, and people could come off the trail and get coffee, or they could get a Danish, or I see treat stations. Every block I see a treat station, encouraging me to go on, to keep moving. But
and one of the latest plans, and whether it'll the timing of it's up in the air a lot right now, but the city owns the old Maxco building, the Granger building down there, and that's being talked about as being a kind of a civic center and a library.
I saw the plans to that, and it was
just beautiful plans. And if that comes into fruition, that would be again right on the trail. It would provide some access to the trail for people coming out and reading library books and having picnics. And they've got a little, coffee shop inside there that people could enjoy the trail, and put a lot of windows along that area.
Have businesses been encouraged to start catering to the trail? Because there's guys along here, like you got Uncle Harry's, and you've got the pub, and you've got other businesses between 11th and 10th.
Yeah, I don't think we haven't gone out and promoted that, and I don't think they've really seen that so far as a business opportunity for them.
It's kind of got a San Luis Obispo feel to it, doesn't it?
Hey, we're trying to bring that coast into the valley if we can.
It really has. It's changed the whole deal for the downtown Reedley.
Yeah.
Who would have saw this 20 years ago?
Actually, before it was, as you mentioned, weeds and a lot of trash that had been back here. There'd be drug deals going back here and everything. There was initially a big concern that putting a trail in would just increase the potential for vagrants and others to come back here and misuse the property, and it's just done just the opposite, which is what we'd seen in other towns that have done this. It opens it up, you get more public access, and as a result, it's a much easier area to maintain and keep in a healthy environment.
Was this copied from a plan from another city, or was this kind of thinking outside the box?
This was pretty much a Reedley plan. I mean, there are other communities that have taken rails to trails nationwide. It's a lot of them are out in the rural areas where they've taken and turned it into a major bikeway or something through the forests and things. That Monterey, for example, they did something similar to this. I think other communities, but Stockton has something similar to that. So
makes me proud to be a native of Reedley and to be able to come and see this. And I've got to admit, I haven't walked this whole trail, but I'm going to have to someday. I'm going to have to go down to Buttonwillow and work my way down to the river.
Great, or grab a bike. We've got one business that has taken advantage of it is Bike Tracks, the local bike shop right there, which is located right on the trail, and it's a great spot when people come to try out a bike. They just give them the bike and hey, head down the trail and do it. So go buy a bike.
That's
and
good public
head down
relations
the trail
for them and for the trail.
Yeah.
Well, Dale Melville, thanks for being on the Valley today, and thanks for giving us a little bit of your thoughts on this whole deal.
Thank you, Bob.
Yeah.
Appreciate the opportunity to spread the word about Reedley. Thank you.
Welcome back to the Valley today. We have the distinct pleasure of being with Joel Glick now from the city of Reedley.
How you doing?
On the rail trails, and thanks for being with us.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, this is impressive. Well, a couple of miles of parkway here.
Yeah, the city has developed 2.5 miles of trail property, and hopefully in the future we'll be able to extend it.
Yeah. Oh, so you're going to extend it along the river, but you were also mentioning that beyond Buttonwillow to the east, you've got a pretty impressive sports park now that the city has come online in the last couple of years.
Yes, the city purchased 50 acres on the east side of town, and we've developed the first 10 acres of the sports park. But in that sports park plan, there is a trail along a Traver Creek that'll connect in with the rail trail system we have here in downtown.
Yeah, so it'll just keep going.
Correct.
And how far is that from Buttonwillow? That's another, what, half a mile, quarter mile?
I think it's around a quarter mile.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow, very cool, very cool. So how is it to maintain this thing?
Well, it's, last few years it's been pretty tough with, with the economy and the cutbacks in the parks department. But they're doing the best job that they can. We do have community groups that help out, maintaining the park trail, and different civic groups and organizations that help clean up. And, certain times in the year we have community events where we'll have the community come in and do a cleanup day. So the community is really involved in keeping up with the trail, and along with our city parks department.
Yeah, you just city parks is slammed now because you've had a reduction in funding, but you still have to maintain all the property that the city owns, and it's pretty extensive, isn't it?
Yeah, correct. It's tough, and again, right now we have 4 full-time park workers, and we have about 68 acres of developed park area in Reedley. So,
and scattered all.
Yeah, correct. So the guys are working very hard.
Yeah.
Again, we've gone through some cutbacks. They just recently cut back on the part-time park staff, so we no longer have part-time park staff. And again, it's a big job, but they're doing the best that they can, and hopefully, with the way the budget and the economy is, hopefully it'll stop there and we can keep those 4 guys.
So for people that are going to see this show and are interested in coming and seeing this park, they can access it from like about 10 different places here in Reedley. They can access it from 10th, 9th, 11th, and
yeah, it's very accessible. Probably the easiest way if you're coming from out of town is, go to downtown Reedley, park, and it's on the south side of downtown.
Right.
And there's a lot of areas where you can access the park, and
there's city parking here, isn't it?
Yeah, city parking, and again, it's 2.5 miles. You can go one direction and go towards the country, another and go towards the middle of the city, along the college, and be at the Kings River. So
Yeah.
it's a beautiful trail.
So you could park down by the college and you kind of see the river first, overlook the bluff, and work your way east. And it's very pastoral. I mean, the trees are now, they look like they're getting fairly mature, which is good.
Yeah, this section's probably around 8 to 10 years old, and you're right. The trees are starting to mature and fill in with a lot of shade, and it's starting to look really good.
Absolutely fantastic. I mean, from what it was in the mid '90s, I mean, this is a big improvement.
Yeah, I arrived here in Reedley in '96, and this area was just an abandoned railroad.
It was blighted.
Yeah, weeds everywhere,
weeds, trash.
So the core group that helped put this together, I know there was Dale and Pam Melville, Carol Kane, Ted Tartaglia were, the community group that I remember. And then on the city side, you had the Park and Rec Commission, you had City Council, Marge Gobby, Joe Rhodes, Ray Salino were very active at that time. And then you had city staff, you had Helen McCain, you had Mike Pardo, you had Andy Benelli, Mike Omos, Richard Fernbaugh. Those people, helped get the ball rolling and on the city side to make this project successful.
That was great that they could all come together, and I can imagine there was probably a little squabbling as to how it was going to all pan out, but...
Yeah, there were several meetings, public meetings, and they got together, they worked well together, and obviously it's tough when you have a lot of people involved and a lot of different entities.
Right.
But they came out with a really nice parkway.
Yeah, they pulled it off. And you wouldn't think of a traditional rail line as being a park, because the thing is very narrow and very long, but still it's a park, and it's pretty cool.
Yeah.
This is a nice piece of tasty frosting on the cake.
Yeah, it's a nice amenity for Reedley, especially the downtown area.
Yeah.
And hopefully in the future, there can be other businesses developed along. There's a lot of empty lots along the trail, and hopefully there's plans for other business. They've even talked about maybe some residential along the trail. So there's a lot of room to expand and even make it a better place.
Would that be apartments, or would that be private residences?
I think they'd probably be maybe condos, apartments. And again, it's just talk. I don't think there's nothing set in stone, but.
Right. But just the fact that you've got people talking about it and letting it swim around in their heads, that might be a formidable idea to pursue.
Yes.
That is cool. That is cool. So how much work do you have left to do on this? Or do you have any work to do on it other than just maintain it?
Well, right now we're battling to maintain it.
Yeah.
I believe the next section will be at the end of where the trail ends on the Kings River.
Right. And that's all done right to the river now.
Yes,
isn't it?
there's a project coming up, the Manning Avenue Bridge in the next year or two.
Yeah.
To reconstruct the Manning Avenue Bridge, and then hopefully we can get the trail system going underneath the bridge.
So will they give you consideration to be able to put a trail under the bridge?
Yeah, I think that's all in the works.
Okay.
Either we go underneath or make a walkway over,
right.
One of the two, but we have to get to the other side.
Right, underneath would probably be safer.
Yeah, and then again, we probably got about a quarter of a mile to Smith's Ferry Park, where it runs into our river parks.
Right. Is that all city property at the river's edge?
Yes.
Okay. All right. So then the hardest part is already done, because the city's already acquired that property.
Yeah. Well, I know we have a portion.
Yeah.
And I think there is a piece, though, that
that's privately owned
that we'll obtain once that area is developed.
Sure. And how has it been? This is early in the season for the river and the water, but how has it been down at Reedley Beach?
Well, I know it was busy last weekend. The river was open. With the snowpack being so high and the water levels, we're not sure. They can change on a daily basis.
Right.
you know, we're hoping we have it open, you know, a lot this summer, but there could be times when we have to close it just due
if
to
the water level comes too high, then you'll just have to, I think they'll just shut off all recreation on the river because it'll become too dangerous.
Exactly. You know, it gets saturated in the parks, and we have some, you know, 60 to 80-year-old trees there, and they've been known to fall down, so it just creates a hazard. Plus of the, you know, the water, it's a lot swifter than people realize and a lot colder. So,
so to finish this park loop, where you're going to go out to the sports park and you're going to get the trail along the river and then coming back, when do you anticipate that being accomplished?
I think a realistic time frame is probably a 5-year period.
Okay.
You know, if the economy picks up, there's some grant opportunities out there.
Yeah.
It can happen in the next 5 years.
Right.
And then after that, then we still need to kind of plan how we're going to actually loop this thing all the way around the city. That's still in the works also.
Yeah, but that'll really make it something to behold, you know, to have the system of trails with nice arbor canopies, and you know, that'd be great.
Yes.
And by the way, Joel is our airport manager, and I'm on the airport commission, and he's done a fantastic job of taking care of our little airport north of Reedley. It's what a little jewel we have there, huh?
Yeah, it's a great airport.
Yeah. You got your plate full, don't you?
I do. But hey, I have a great job, and you know, it's fun, you know, having your hands in all these different divisions.
Sure. Yeah, and you got a great staff too. One of the girls that you work with is Denise Ferris, and I went to school with her, so you know, we go way back. And she was telling me some interesting stories the other day, but that's for another show.
Yeah, I'll give her a plug. She's great. We've been working together for about 15 years, and you know, without her, a lot of this wouldn't work.
Yeah, no. So we got to give Denise props.
That's right.
We're almost out of time, Joel. You know, for anybody that's interested in coming to Reedley, and you should come to Reedley because it's such a nice little community. You know, a lot of things to do. There's some great businesses downtown, and you know, come enjoy this trail. Just come here, park your car somewhere, and get on this trail and walk it and see all the great things that Reedley has to offer. Yeah?
Yes.
All right.
Thank you.
I think I said it all. I think you said it all. Joe Glick, thanks for being on The Valley today. The Valley today is a public service presentation of this great TV station. Thanks for watching.